So, hello everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of ClueCon Weekly, sponsored by Second Wire. This week, joining us is Jöran Vinzens, a voice over IP administrator at sipgate, a German company specializing in all things voice over IP, and they've been around for a long time. So, thank you, Jöran, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.
Would you like to start by giving us a quick introduction about yourself and sipgate?
Sure. So, as you already told everyone, my name is
Mm-hmm.
Jöran Vinzens. I'm working at sipgate for now a little bit over 10 years. I've started my career in voice over IP in 2000, quite a long time now. And back then it was aged 323 and something like that. There was no SIP in the real world yet. Yeah. But for 10 years now, I'm here at Zipgate. We are doing voice over IP services in Germany and the UK. We since 2013 we are mobile operator in Germany as well, so we have
Wow.
quite some knowledge in that as well, and struggling with all that things. Yeah, having our own SIM cards helps a lot to have a full-fledged business platform we could sell. And yeah, we are carrier, as I said, so we have all these carrier problems, and we have several thousands customers and several million minutes each day on our platform. So it's funny every day to get to work and to keep it running and to improve the system and to think in advance what could go wrong and what are the challenges in the future.
Well, that's super interesting. Sipgate has been around for a while, so it's a company that has had time to grow and has time to mature their stack. I'm especially interested in the mobile operator thing. Like, how do you actually become a mobile operator? How complicated is it?
So it's very complicated.
Oh, okay,
I can tell you,
great.
and it's not from the technical perspective
Mhm.
very complicated, but from the legal part, at least in Germany, because you have to. We are a virtual mobile operator, so we are not a
Mhm.
real mobile operator. We don't have our own radio infrastructure. This would be a bit too much for us. We are at the moment we are 300 people working at Zipgate, and you can't maintain a radio network with these
Oh
little
yeah,
people.
definitely.
So it would be too much. But at the end, we are a virtual operator, and this now for quite some time, 9 years now.
Oh.
Um, and we started. It was yeah, an idea of one of our founders, Thilo Salmon. He thought it might be a good addition to the business platform we already had. So we have a business platform with PBX features and so on, and the all the world and all the trade fairs speak about fixed mobile integration, and so did we. So the first part of that is making a mobile app, but in 2013, mobile apps weren't that what they are now. So we thought, okay, we need to be or we need to become a mobile operator to have this very integrated in our system and to treat a mobile phone or a SIM card especially like a phone you have on the desk and ring on direct dials and ring on
Mhm.
fixed numbers, landline numbers, and so on. And also, if you call out, have your landline number transported and not your mobile number, and call with all the features you have, like transcriptions and in-call features like code transfer, what you are used to on the normal phone. And we started. With that, and was quite a pain point to get in there in the first place. And so we had an agreement with Telefonica, former known as
Mhm.
E Plus in Germany, and we are using their radio in Germany.
Mhm.
And uh, yeah, and the beginning was quite hard to learn all the things no one speaks about. So the big telcos don't speak about that very much. So you have the specification, but the specification isn't all. So you have the specs and you have the best practice, and these are two different things. And we had to learn that, and we had a lot of outages in that time, and we had to learn a lot of stuff. But at the end, it turned out quite well. And now we keep on moving. So voice over LTE is now coming for us. It's something the mobile operator didn't offer us so far, so we had no chance to get in there. This is a thing our customers ask every day. What about voice over LTE and so on?
Hmm.
And voice over Wi-Fi and so on. So we need to go there. We need to have that feature. Therefore we are doing it now. This is quite a new one. This entire IMS core stuff, I have no idea about that. So we have external help to build it up and to run it. But for the 3G, 2G part, once you learn all the abbreviations which are out there, it's quite simple. But this one is hard. Everything is an abbreviation for anything,
I
and
like that.
you
Yeah.
have okay, what's an HLR? What is HSS and SGS? What? So it's a nightmare. But once done, it's smooth sailing except the outages. Then it's not smooth sailing anymore, but we take it as a challenge to become better as we are and become more rock solid without having a black box in the basement. So it's not that we go to Ericsson or Nokia or whatever and ask them to sell their equipment to us. We build it on Yate mainly,
Oh
yet
yeah.
another telephony engine. They're quite good in that. We had direct contact with them from earlier because of the SS7 interconnects we have to other carriers. And all the mobile stuff, 2G, 3G is based on SS7. So it was nothing new for us, but these mobile stuff is new on this SS7. So we just had to learn that one. The HLR and SMSC was written by ourselves. So we have a team
Wow. In-house?
in-house, right? And they read a lot of specification, especially for SMS. This is a nightmare, really. This HLR stuff is not that complicated because it's quite easy. It's only you get a request, you have an answer like that. But for SMS, you have to queue things. You have to answer the original part if you don't know the end part, and all this billing stuff you have in there. You can send a bill to, for example, Vodafone, only if you have sent the message to the mobile phone and it's received on the mobile phone. If it's not received on the mobile phone, you can put it on the bill. And all that we had to learn. This is legal again, so it's not the technical part, but
No,
the
I
legal part
understand that.
and
That really seems to be the problem. Like it's not
yeah.
not as much about the doing it. It's not too complicated. I have experience of on working on a MVNO project that was working with that we were working with on SIP. It was Sprint, an American
Mm,
operator, and it was all SIP based. And to be fair, it was not. I mean, it was complicated. It was a lot of work, but it was not from a purely technical perspective. It wasn't too bad at all. It's more like it's more the legal stuff is far more complicated. Plus, learning all that SS7 stuff is really something I will not. I don't have any much experience with it, and it sounds really
yeah.
like a complicated thing.
Yeah, it's stuff from the 80s, right? So they think you have to think like in the 80s, and then it's easy again. But you don't do that every day. So it's we are not used to do that and use all day abbreviations. It's that's hard to get in there. But a colleague of mine, Laura Geisen, did a talk on that on a CommCon. So you can search on Google for Laura Geisen CommCon, how sipgate became mobile operator. And she tells the entire story from the first challenges to what we are now, basically. It is 5 years old now, I think, or 4 years old. Last CommCon in the real world. And I think it's a good talk, and she talks a lot about what were our pitfalls and what we've learned on the process, because the most of it we learned on the process.
Yeah, the that's I take a look. The mobile stuff, especially, people never even think how complicated it is, and it's certainly a very very interesting angle. So going back, so you've been doing all this stuff. What are your favorite technology parts, especially coming to the open source parts? Because we try to go into what people generally use. So you mentioned Yate, which is based on Asterisk, if I remember correctly.
No,
What
no,
else?
it's in
No,
Yate is a known. It's like FreeSwitch Asterisk, and there's Yate as well. It's a back-to-back user agent.
Yate
But
is its own thing.
yeah, its own thing.
Oh,
The main benefit using Yate, even for zip or for anything, it's like using Kamailio just as a back-to-back user agent. So you have the separate parts for both call legs, but you can manipulate all the packages. If you're using, for example, Asterisk, you can manipulate the invite, but nothing else. Everything else is covered by the SIP stack and by Asterisk. You don't can add header to buy messages or to cancel messages or whatever. It's all done by the stack itself. And with Yate, you can do that. Therefore, we are still using Yate, even though we are getting less and less SS7 stuff and more SIP stuff. But for all the interconnects, especially for Deutsche Telekom, it's quite handy to have such a powerful engine underneath
sure.
to handle all the relevant SIP signaling stuff, which would not be possible with the Asterisk because it's not built for that. But in the end, it's not my favorite
Hmm.
because the config script for the Yate is a nightmare. I would say that it's
Looks like it's
regex.
more of a building block thing than an actual product you can just install and use.
Yeah, it's nothing you put in the basement for your 3 phones at home and put it to a zip carrier, something like that. It's more carrier grade or very big companies using something like that, and you need a steep learning curve at the beginning to get a foot on that. Um, um, my favorite, as you asked, is I think Asterisk.
Hmm.
Definitely. I like all the voice stuff. I'm not so interested in all the signaling parts. It's not interesting because it's just put a header here, put a value there, and then you have your signaling, and you have a spec, and you have best practice, and you have RFCs and whatnot. But the audio part is more interesting because this is what people hear, what people feel when they are on a call. If
Hmm.
audio is bad, you are bad as a company or as a carrier or whatever. Um,
Totally, yeah.
if the signaling is bad, no one cares. So if you don't transport the number, you get a ticket that the number was not transported, but it's not directly a bad feeling for the customer. But if audio is bad, you're screwed. And to figure out uh, what are the little settings you need to set to have good audio at the end, and to dig down in a stream in one of a million streams a day to find out what the problem is and figure out what setting the customer or the DSL provider or whatever needed to change in order to have a good audio quality. This is something I like. I think this is challenging for on an everyday basis. And speaking of Asterisk, we are building right now a new platform for our backend and control mechanism
Hmm.
for sipgate, and also for the entire sipgate products based on ARI. And this is quite challenging to handle all these calls in ARI and make an internal API out of that, which we
Hmm.
can give all the developers in the company to build the business platform on that. This is
What
a tough
what
one.
is the control layer developed on? What's your internal language, if you can say? I mean,
We use Java.
oh,
So
oh.
everything we build is based on Java. I say so. It's not true. All we do at the moment in the team I am is Java. So for sure we are not doing Java for websites. Something like that. It would be stupid. But for the telephony controlling instances, we are using Java as a language. And it's very powerful. You can do a lot of things with Java. What we do is we have a small open source project called ARI Proxy, which you can download, and which is
Oh,
an adapter to get all the commands, responses, and events from Asterisk ARI into Kafka. From Kafka, you can consume with whatever you want all these messages and produce commands to the Asterisk. This is what we're using to orchestrate 100, 150 Asterisk instances without knowing exactly which Asterisk the call runs on. Because at the end, we have to make something possible that we don't care about a single Asterisk instance because it's too much. And
have you considered using FreeSwitch?
I'm personally not a FreeSwitch guy, so I've never touched FreeSwitch. With shame on me, to be honest. I started with Asterisk in 2003 with a beta version, I think 0. something. I think it was back in the days, and since then I got stuck with Asterisk because I know it, and then to learn something new is difficult. But I always wanted to have, a look into a FreeSwitch, what's possible with that. For sipgate, we are not considering using something else because we already use Yate, we use Kamailio, we use RTP engine, we use Asterisk. As long as we don't have a need to introduce another technology, it makes no sense to do so.
Of course,
you have
I was
another
just
one.
Curious. FreeSwitch, FreeSwitch performs. Honestly, FreeSwitch performs probably all of the features you need on your end right now. Which means
I
that
bet
you
so.
don't really need to. You don't really need to switch from Asterisk, especially. So, do you do any video applications?
No, not yet.
Generally.
For the moment, it's not planned to do video. I know if it becomes an issue with us, we have to look around what's on there, and then maybe Janus is in the game, and FreeSwitch is in the game, and all this media soup architecture, blah blah blah, is in the game, and then we have to think on new ways. And I know Asterisk isn't very good in mixing video because
that's probably the only. That's probably the only thing Asterisk isn't great at. That's true.
I've seen some examples on Astricon on the booth of SignalWire or on FreeSwitch, what they are doing with video, and it's awesome, I would say. So if anyone considered to use video in an easy way, I think FreeSwitch is a good choice. It's a question: is it carrier grade? I don't know.
We have
we have to look at that.
We run SignalWire on some FreeSwitch plus other parts. So it's definitely carrier grade. Including the video stack, etc. It's very, very strong in what it does. So definitely, I think it's a super good. I think it's a super good starting point. If you need an SFU, you probably would like to take a look at Janus, which is a great platform too. And we work with you guys.
This is one of these open source platforms we are looking on if it comes to video, but so far it's not an issue with sipgate because a customer don't ask for it or for the integration of video and phone calling, I would say. The problem with video is there are so many companies out there doing a very, very good job in doing so, like Google, for example, or Jitsi, for example. So we already have an open source version for that on the market, and this is very easy to set up for a small installation. It becomes a bit tricky for a huge installation, but if you have to do so, you have to figure out how it's working anyway. So doesn't matter. But it's hard to go in there in this marketplace and do it a good job right from the start. So it's hard to get in there. If you're a telco and your focus is just voice calling.
For sure. What's your you're a developer first and foremost. I'm curious, what do you think will be a recommendation you will give to someone starting in this business, starting in the field of telecoms? Like, how would you get started if it were yourself 10 years ago? Because people really, we have many people from various technical levels following the program, and it's really something that a lot of people ask. Like, I'm a web developer. What am I missing?
Yeah, I think if from me 10 years ago, I would suggest to get more in the simple stuff to understand the simple stuff very good, because everything else is based on the simple stuff.
Mhm.
So if you understand SIP call very well, entirely very well, you don't have a problem to understand single headers or some nuances in the call. So if you're new to the job, build up a PBX. Don't matter if Asterisk or FreeSwitch. Also, we are in signal wire stuff here. So use a FreeSwitch. Make a simple A calls B, LS calls Bob sample.
Mhm.
Play some audio files, make a recording, something like that, and then start building a Kamailio around it to have it
Mm.
secured from the internet. And if you've done that from scratch, after that, you know SIP. I guarantee. Because until everything is working and all timers are correct, you have to understand SIP.
Sure.
And you know what's a call ID, and you know what's a branch ID, and so on. You know that after you build it up. So definitely go ahead, take a free switch, make a simple call, Alice calls Bob, something like that, and then make it complicated.
Well, that's a good point. So start from something. And what's your favorite? So, which of the open source platforms we mentioned will do you say people should start with? Asterisk, First Switch.
I
Asterisk is
can
fine as an answer.
Yeah, it would be unfair if I say free switch because I don't have any clue about it. So in my point of view, I would definitely say use Asterisk because it's simple enough for everyone who can read documentation and sample configuration. And the community is gigantic, and the Sangoma people are very, very nice and helpful. And yeah, start with that. But said as a guy only knows Asterisk for sure. I know the people from SignalWire are very nice as well. I guess the support is very good, and the community is alive. I know that, but I have no clue about the complexity of setting up a free switch, so I can't say that. I think it's a gamble. You have to start anywhere, so pick one of these two, or even use Yate. And start there, and time will tell if it was the right decision or not.
For sure. Well, thank you so much. That was a great great look at what people need to learn. Would you say people should learn Java?
If you need it, yes.
It's
Um,
I'm asking because we often go into this kind of discussion, and Java doesn't come up really super often. So I'm really curious of what your feelings are on people using it in general.
I like Java because it's a type-safe language.
Hmm.
And you have a huge community around Java, and there's everything in Java. There's nothing you can't do with Java. I think the so often called argument that it's slow doesn't count anymore because Java is very, very fast. It's You have to get around this object stuff if you're not used to use objects in your programming language. But I think even in Python or Perl or whatever you already use, you have objects. They are not as type safe as in Java, but you have it. And with Java 17, it becomes more and more easy, and you don't have all this boilerplate anymore. So you don't have to do all this setter getter stuff anymore. It's done by the language underneath. So it becomes more easy to start. If you need Java, I can tell it. I would definitely say it depends on what you're doing. For example, if you're doing a text parsing, I always say go with Perl because Perl is very fast in text parsing and easy to use. If you want just a script, some glue code around some C libraries, use Python. If you want to use AI, use Python because everything AI is Python, I think. But if you want to build up, a business platform backend, I can recommend Java for that.
Well, yeah, that's a good starting point. It's also, I think, from a very a monetary perspective, uh, there are less Java programmers than there used to be. So it might be a very good choice for a career. Like it can certainly get you hired fairly quickly, which is
Yeah, I think, yeah, but then you have to use something very absurd language to be very good in getting money. Maybe TCL would be a good choice because there are no TCL programmers out there, and all the.
TCL. Wow.
I think it's needed at the moment, and if you know TCL very well, you can get a good job in the finance sector because they use it very highly. So but whatever, do whatever you have fun on, and not what's good paid, because I think fun is more important than money if you have enough money. I can tell that. So
Well,
money is not everything.
no, but I mean, people looking for work, we are very lucky because generally speaking, if you're a developer or you have systems experience, you can generally find something to do. But then picking languages and picking environments, if you're learning, helps a lot. Like I have a lot of friends who I still think started with the wrong language and ended up, looking for work or having to. I mean, you have to look at the market too. So yeah, last question. We spoke about systems right now. If you can say, how do you run your internal stuff? Is it all Docker, Kubernetes? Do you use public clouds? Do you have private clouds? Iron?
I think the answer here is yes. We have a lot of stuff based on bare metal, so we still have servers in a rack. We rent some space in some bigger data centers, so we don't use a known data center for that, but we have our own cages in there. We have stuff on Google, we have stuff on Amazon, we have stuff in our own Kubernetes cluster. And I think this movement to cloud native becomes more and more in the company. But for voice, it's quite difficult because if you have this Docker, for example, you instantly have NAT in the way. And this is something you have to solve in the process. You don't have to do that if you use virtual machines or bare metal. So it depends on how you want to start. If you want to start now, I would suggest you try to start in the cloud and make
Yeah.
all the stuff cloud native. But if you already have something, cloud is not the answer to everything. And if you don't have stuff in the cloud, it's easier to debug, but you have to debug. So
Yeah.
uh,
I feel like that's a common remark, which I will sum up as if you have problems and you're not running in the cloud is not gonna fix your problems.
no,
It's gonna is
definitely not. No.
that's never the answer. Like if you have issues, your stuff is not running smoothly, you have problems, etc. Not going to Docker, Kubernetes, whatever is not going to fix it. It's just change your problems, which is
Oh, definitely, yeah.
it's it's not a solution, but it does help. I mean, sometimes you're right. It's we run everything on Docker and we're very cloud native, but we do have a data center too. Like almost anyone has a rack somewhere with
Mm.
some stuff in it, just because some types of even just experimentation is much cheaper if you can run your own stuff. Like if you need 100 terabytes of disk for some reason, it's a few $100 if you have it on your machine. So maybe you just run that there. Cool.
Sometimes it's a question for example, GDPR as well. So in Europe, we have these concerns for data security, and for example, if you go to any cloud, you have to make sure that these are GDPR compliant, or even worse. In Germany, we have this Telekommunikationsgesetz, a law for telecommunication, which is even stricter than GDPR. So we have to comply with that as well. So it's not only if it's cloud native or if it's possible to become cloud native, but if it's legal to do that as well. I think most people don't care about that, but we do because we have to.
Yeah, that is, yeah, we do, in a sense that we work with we we are GDPR compliant by having the ability to restrict an account to only a zone or a certain data center that we operate in. So that's 90% of it, really. But yeah, it's not easy at all. Like, GDPR did make things far harder for telephony,
Definitely,
more
yeah.
than most people realize. Yeah, if you're just doing websites, it's actually not that complicated, because, couple notices here, a button area to click before you can access the website there, done. But we have traffic, logs, and media, and also it's fairly
not mentioned
complicated.
to voice streams and voice recognition and CDRs and stuff, which is all covered by the GDPR explicitly. So it's quite hard to comply all on that.
Yeah, all of that has to run on specific areas, etc. We end up rolling out a lot of duplicates, for example, because you need to have your own. You need to have a copy of your infrastructure for every area. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So, not able to centralize stuff very well. Well, we'll try and be compliant. Well, Jöran, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a super interesting chat. We went through what your stack is, even what people should start with if they're learning to work with voice over IP, especially your journey into becoming a mobile operator. That was incredibly interesting. And there are so many acronyms in there that I don't see it right now, but oh yeah, here it is. So if you're lost at acronyms, a recommendation is get one of these books. It's the Newton Telecom Dictionary. I keep this next to my desk, as you see, and it's my only way out of people that are more knowledgeable about telephony, like myself, like Jöran is. He knows far more than I do in that sense. So sometimes during a call, I just have it on the side and not, Oh yeah, I know what SS7 is, of course. Yeah. Why do you even ask? So that's
it's a good trick.
Yeah, this book is actually on the 20th edition or something, and it was recommended to me by a former business partner, which is the person I started working with in telephony in 2009, and it has saved meetings countless times. Because people were saying, "Well, have you looked up our CDBR-FTB2?"
What?
Actually, yeah, I know what that is. No problem. So that's
sometimes it's easy if you know what the acronym means without knowing the system entirely. But just to pinpoint the system makes a lot of difference.
Yeah, so it's and Googling is not fast enough at times, because Google will not always find the right acronym, and you end up looking strange. Like SS7 has at least another couple meanings.
Yeah.
One of them is military related. So why are you talking about they're like underwater missiles or something like that? Like why are you okay? Cool. So we're arms dealers now? Fine.
No, business model have changed slightly.
Yeah. Well, guys, I guess the times have changed, so maybe your business model is different now.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, that will be fitting for the current times. So let's hope we don't need that.
No,
cool.
Definitely.
So again, Jöran, thank you so much. It was
a
great chat and very fun, and hope to meet you at some of the various conferences in person. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe FOSDEM next year if they have it again, and we'll see what happens.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. And for the rest of us, I'll see you next week. Goodbye.